Hello, welcome to Needing a Meeting. My name is Carol. I'll be your host today and going to be waiting for some people to show up in the meeting room. After all, it is not a meeting without people here. So we're going to be doing a reaction video to the Tim Ferriss show, How to Commit to the Path of Sobriety. His guest is Rich Roll. The link to the video is in the description, as well as the link to Tim Ferriss's channel. And while we're waiting, I guess we can go ahead and get started watching. Hope y'all are doing well today. All right, now then, here we go. How to commit to the path. Good, we got her up. Okay. And here we go.
What was the straw, or what were the straws that broke the camel's back with respect to alcohol and seeking help?
Well, there were a couple important inflection points. One of which was getting 2 DUIs essentially in a row with ridiculously high blood alcohol contents, looking at jail time, my boss finding out at the law firm, and being on the precipice of getting fired. That's a whole rabbit hole, sort of chaotic disaster that I weathered. Another one was a marriage, or I should say like a wedding that went awry. Yeah, I got married and that relationship ended on the honeymoon, which is a whole crazy story that is inextricably linked to, I mean, I was sober at the time, but it's very much linked to, my alcoholism. So there's big events like that. But I think, those situations.
Funny that even after we stop drinking and stop doing the things that are getting us in trouble or hurting us or just making our life go off the rails, if we're not thinking, we're trying to stuff things. Hi, Christy. We're trying to stuff things in that great big hole that is left when we've stopped doing the thing that we love, which is drinking or using drugs, and start grasping for anything, which is why it's good to start grasping for meetings and a recovery program, rehab, what have you. But anyway, this is a man named Rich Roll. Tim Ferriss is interviewing him on how to commit to the path of sobriety. He's just kind of going through a little bit of his background that led to his committing to sobriety.
Nice.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. Thank you, everybody. There were a few people who reached out, and thank you to them. And yeah, I feel much lighter. It was a lot to kind of stuff down, but I'm back to myself today.
Yay, that is good. Hi, Planet Freak.
Hi.
Hi, guys. Welcome.
Yes,
we're doing a reaction video. I have not watched any of it, so you guys and I are experiencing what he's got to say all together. It's brand new. Makes me so happy to hear you feel better, Christine.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
For real. Yeah. It's always good when we can lighten the load.
Yes. Well, and sometimes it gets a little intense before we can do that. But like I said,
true.
Thank you to everybody who just let me cry it out and say it all. And
Hi,
hey,
Cosmic.
Hello. And did I miss Zelda on here? Hi, Zelda. I don't know. I seen your name, but
yes, Zelda is here.
Hello.
So happy to see every one of you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
All righty. Well, are you ready for me to start the video back?
Yeah, let's go.
All righty. Here we go.
Created such a deep level of shame inside of me that I wasn't able to shake alcohol in the wake of those experiences because I didn't have the emotional tools to process them So I continued to drink for a while. I mean, the wedding was really, the nadir of the whole thing, and a reasonable person would have woken up and gotten sober at that time. But I needed to medicate myself through that emotional shitstorm.
Well, what is reasonable about being an addict?
Yeah.
There's no
Right.
such thing as a reasonable person when you are in full-blown addiction.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, if somebody can pull it together, then, hats off, like the big book says.
Right. Right.
Until one day, I basically woke up and I was hungover, but it wasn't like I had, I reaped any kind of chaos the night before. But it's just that moment of realizing, like, I've had enough. Like, I can't live this way anymore. It's just so lonely and desperate, and it only leads in one direction. And I think, that's what it takes. Like, for anybody who has experience with addiction, particularly substance addiction, you have this sense, like you asked me earlier on, Tim, like, when did I know I had a problem? Like, I knew I had a problem very early on in my drinking career,
Wow.
but that's very different from the willingness to do anything about it. Like, I harbored this.
That is amazing. I just knew that I liked it.
I think it's interesting. He said my drinking career.
Well,
Did you catch that?
and that's right on the money. I mean, that's what I would call my stint in active addiction. I think I've even referred to it that way myself, or close to, if not those very words. When I was okay, let's see here. When I was escorting my daughter to AA in Florida, I noticed that most of the men were there because of driving violations or court ordered, but hadn't really woken up yet. Yeah, that is a little bit of a problem of sometimes going to AA meetings, is that's the go-to for court,
Mhm.
I don't know. I wonder if Smart Recovery would also be a court approved meeting to go to,
Mhm.
I knew
Well,
early as well that in my multiple uses, okay, I justified by stating medicating. Okay, wow. See, I wasn't even self-aware enough to know that that's what I was doing until long after the fact. Until it was a situation, then that's when I realized I really needed help. Well, I'm glad you got it, and I'm glad you're here. Okay. Probably there in Australia. I wonder if it is the same for here in the US. That would be good. 'Cause, you when somebody is there because they're court ordered to be there, and that's the majority of the people that are there's not a whole lot of recovery to be found there, you know?
right. I can understand that. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
This notion that this was a problem for me, but you're also protecting it because you want to be able to keep doing it. And that's what leads to, this sort of double life where you're hiding your behavior from other people and deluding yourself into thinking that they don't know what's going on. But ultimately you realize, like, everybody knows what's going on. And on some level, it's a process of, like, stripping away those layers of denial until you can really face the objective truth of what you're doing. And that's a very terrifying thing.
Oh,
And so
it
that
is, and there is no beginning to do that. I can't see how I could have possibly done
Mhm.
that without abstaining, stopping the drinking, stopping doing drugs. I don't see how it's possible. It wouldn't have been for me. I know that, to strip away those layers of denial. 'Cause as some of you know, and some of you may not know, I was forced into rehab in order to keep a roof over my head. So it wasn't my idea. I had no intention of stopping. After all, I didn't have a
Mhm.
problem.
Mhm.
Even though I was homeless, couch surfing, I had been dropped off in downtown San Diego with no place to go but St. Vincent de Paul. And thank God, a traumatic event had them take some pity on me and give me a bed that night. They have temporary and in-house residency. And I guess somebody had just left, and I just came in at the right time, and forgive me for anybody that might have been on a waiting list that might not have been able to get in. But I'm hoping that they looked through the list and saw that, okay, this is a single lady, and that's who they put me with, and that's the bed that became available. This was single ladies. You never know if the first person up would have been a family or a man or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, and you were there because it was the right time, divine intervention. It was exactly where you needed to be when you needed to be there.
Yeah.
And I believe in that.
I believe in that too. I mean, there's too many things that occurred, especially in that time period, that there is no way to chalk it up to coincidence. There just isn't.
Right.
I can't make that make sense in my mind that it's just coincidence. Cannot make it make sense.
Right. Right.
So that's kind of what was going on inside of me until, this day in 1998 where I was like, okay, I've had it. Like I'm ready to really take this seriously and do something about it.
How old were you roughly then? My math is going to fail me at this moment, but 1998.
Yeah, I was 31.
31. All right. And because it struck me as a curveball, if you don't want to get into it, that's totally fine. But in my mind, I envisioned this honeymoon just going down as a fireball due to some catastrophe that was alcohol induced. But you said you were sober.
Yeah.
Are you willing to expand on that at all? And if not, that's fine.
Yeah, no, it's so hard to describe this and have it make sense. But essentially what happened was I had been drinking quite a bit. I got engaged to this woman. I was living in San Francisco at the time. She was living in Palo Alto and is from Palo Alto. But in the kind of lead up to this wedding, because we had gotten engaged, I had taken a job in Los Angeles. So we were living in separate cities. And I think during that interim period when she got distance between me, she realized like maybe this isn't the guy I want to marry. And I had come clean with her about the DUIs. And I think that was very scary to her. So even though I had been sober for a number of months and told her that I was committed to this path of sobriety, I think, in her heart of hearts, she really wanted to get out of this relationship, but she was unable to muster the strength to break it off herself. And I think that she wanted me to break it off. And so there was so much energy behind this.
I know that one. First marriage, I knew it wasn't the right thing and he wasn't the right one. And I went through with it anyway. I have no idea. I can only say it was just some kind of mental illness thing or some kind of Svengali thing I was spun up into,
Wow.
Yeah.
This impending wedding that was happening, that it just kind of transpired without anybody hitting the brakes. And I was trying to be conciliatory and say, because I knew she was off and not present and something was wrong. And I would say, are you okay? Like, what's going on? How can I make you feel comfortable with all of this? And it's a much longer story. I go into detail about it in my book, but essentially, she permitted the wedding to go through, but then didn't want to sign the marriage certificate.
Oh,
that's a red flag.
Oh.
Right. Cause for pause. Yeah.
And the night of the wedding,
when it came time for me to repeat my vows, I just stood there frozen for like a long enough time that people were starting to panic. And I think somebody had to poke me. Yeah.
Wow.
Somebody was having to poke me. And I had to go, can you repeat that, please?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I mean,
it is crazy. And yet I went through with it.
well, to be in that situation, like you and his wife and him and your ex, and like, and from his story, like she wanted him to call it off, and he's like, no, let's go. Man, I, wow.
I wanted something to intervene. I knew he wasn't gonna call it off. I wanted something to intervene, but at the same time, I wasn't listening. I wasn't paying attention to the many doorways out of that thing.
Right.
It's
Right.
weird. I have no
Right.
explanation for any of it to this day. And that was in 1987.
Uh-huh. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I was 22 years old, not a teenager, but, you know, not mature by any means. I was a late bloomer in almost everything,
Right.
emotional maturity wise, and probably even intellectual maturity and all of that. 87, a great year. Is that the year you were born, Plant Freak? I won't get married. I'm wondering now, though. I was shown so much in fighting for what?
Mhm.
Well, don't ever say ever,
Yeah.
Sometimes if you get in a situation where that's the only thing to do, don't cut yourself off from the possibility, because marriage, when it is a good thing, it is a very good thing.
It is.
I
It's a beautiful
I
thing.
I can't imagine life without my husband,
Mhm.
and I can't imagine us trying to make it work out, as just boyfriend and girlfriend. I think we both recognized kind of early on, it's like, well, if we're gonna do this, well, let's just get it on rather than try to, you know, find our way how to be boyfriend and girlfriend. Let's just go ahead and just do this thing.
Yes. Well, I mean, Michael and I dated for 3 months and then got married. And in January, it'll be 10 years. So, like
Okay.
when and like Carol said, when it's good, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing when your spouse calls you up and says, my day was crap and here's what it is, and I just want to tell you, and it can be good.
Yeah,
Definitely can.
it can. So don't cut yourself off from a potentially wonderful thing.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
that's all I got to say about that.
Yes.
When we went back to the honeymoon suite, that did not go well. I'm surprised that we even went on the honeymoon, but I think in my mind, I was thinking I'm going to try to make this right and it's all going to work out. Like that was its own level of delusion. And while we were on this honeymoon on a Caribbean island, it was clear that this relationship had no future. And ultimately, we were able to have a conversation about it. And she ended up leaving early. And at that moment, I was left with myself with no tools and having been sober for 6 months, but unable to really process the emotional devastation of having, just
Woo.
basically had everybody that I cared about in the world with like 12 groomsmen in this wedding in Palo Alto, bear
Woo.
witness to a marriage that clearly wasn't going to, work out. And it was really devastating to me. So I ended up getting drunk on that island and really struggled to get sober again for quite some time after that.
Ooh,
So thank
you know
you
what?
for sharing
Ooh,
that.
that I think that was what I was the most afraid of, is that if I did go out and drink again, just even out of curiosity, that there would be that I couldn't find a way back. And I may have been spot on there,
Yeah.
as unclear as things were. I feel like there was that clarity underneath it all,
Mhm. 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 Well, and that's a scary place to be, right? Like not like knowing if I do this thing, I don't know how to come back from it. I don't know if I can come back from it. That is a very powerful realization, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
1998, 31. I've had enough. How do you seek help, or what are your next actions after that?
So prior to that, I had been court ordered to Alcoholics Anonymous, so I had been to meetings, but I wasn't doing it because I wanted to get sober. I was doing it because I was compelled to do it. And I think that's an important distinction, especially for people who are struggling or have people in their lives that are struggling with a substance issue. You want to help them, you want to intervene, and you can create, interventions and things like that to get people into treatment. But ultimately, if that person is resistant to it or isn't interested in getting sober, that's going to be a very tough hill to climb.
Yes, it
So
is.
willingness is like crucial. So when I was attending those AA meetings, I laughed.
In addition to there being people that are there because they're court ordered, they have no intention of stopping. You have those that also, they know they should do something, but they're still not set in their mind and in their heart that I need to stop. I need help. I mean, and
Right.
that's not necessarily a bad thing to be around all that, because if you allow yourself to look around and see those scenarios, you can look at it like, is that someplace that I want to end up? Having to
That's
be
true.
here because some judge ordered me to, or
Mhm.
or I just don't know what else to do right now, and yeah.
Right.
Lack that level of willingness. It was more like, I just need to get people off my back so I can go back to living the way that I want to live. And why is everybody bugging me? But in the wake of that wedding experience, when my drinking got more and more dire, my parents had reached the level of their tolerance threshold with me. And basically, my dad said, listen, we love you, but we just can't continue to watch you destroy yourself like this. And we can't have anything to do with you. But if you're ready to get sober, we're, of course, hear from you. But until then, we're not available to you. However, because they were so terrified of all of this, they had found an addiction medicine psychiatrist in Los Angeles. And they said, we have this guy, it might be great if you go and see him. So I started seeing this addiction medicine specialist, and he knew, he just rang my bell immediately and was like, here's the deal, dude, you're an alcoholic and you need to go to treatment. And until you do that, like, nothing's going to change and your life's going to continue to be terrible. And I would try to negotiate with him and say, well, I think I can do it in AA. So I was kind of in and out of AA, doing my own self-experimentation with trying to get sober.
Ooh, that sounds dangerous.
But every time I would crawl back into his office, and I was honest with him. And I said, yeah, I relapsed again, or this happened. But at some point I made a deal with him because he was like, are you ready to go to treatment? I was like, let me try one more time. And he said, okay. And to his credit, like, I think that's a really interesting approach. Like, you have to back off a little bit and allow people to have their process. It's like Inception. Like, they have to come into this awareness on their own. You cannot compel somebody to see themselves as they really are. And
Wow. That is profound. I mean, it
Yeah.
seems so obvious, but the way he states it, yeah, it's so true. It is so true.
Well,
Nobody can get anybody else there.
and I mean, to the therapist credit, like, letting him work through it, just like, okay, go ahead. Like, that would be very difficult, I think, for a family to do, but from a therapist point of view,
Yeah. And he did that with a history there, knowing
Yeah.
the person, he had gotten to know the person. I mean, you don't just willy-nilly just tell
Right.
the random person that you just met that,
Right.
you have to know whether that person, that's what that person can, it was just that situation with that relationship, in other
Right.
words, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think I'm so glad that he had the ability to do that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you're in and out and in and out and in and out of the treatment rooms, or AA rooms, you never get to go back to drinking the way it was before. I've heard, and that's even something that, even though I didn't go back out there, I realized pretty early on that they'd ruined drinking for me, where I could do it in the ignorance is bliss mode.
Right.
So, AA is wonderful for that. Really is.
And of course, I relapsed, crawled back into his office. And because I was considered myself such a man of my word, I said, well, I made a deal with you. So, okay, now I'll go to treatment. And that's, I called him after this one bender and I said, I'm ready. And he got a bed for me. And I immediately go online and I'm researching treatment centers and I'm looking for the spa resort one, that that has really nice accommodations. He's like, no. Here's where you're going, this place in Oregon. I got a bed for you. Like, get on the plane today. And that's basically how it began.
Well, very succinct. I like
Yes.
it.
Well, and I think that I think it's interesting how he said he was looking for like the spa place, and the doctor's like, no,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
not in here.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah. Yeah. I did Catholic charities, bunk bed, three, 4 ladies to a room. He's funny.
Yeah.
The spa. We'd all love a spa, but I tell you, that was another thing that kind of kept me sober is, I didn't want to do rehab again. No.
Right. Well, I mean, you see people, and I don't know. This is just what I observe. You see people go in and out of those like spa, like luxury Malibu, centers, and then you don't really hear a lot of success stories. Now again, I'm only seeing like celebrities that have done it, and I'm sure that's a completely different lifestyle than I'm used to. But you get somebody who goes to one of these like bare bones, you're gonna get down to it. Like, those seem to be the ones that stick, so I mean,
there has to be something to it. It has to be unpleasant enough that you really don't want to go back. Mine was. It was
right.
It so was. It was, I was raw. That was raw.
Yes. I never did rehab. I tried NA. It was too religious for where I was in my life. Stopped right away.
Okay.
Detox is hard and fast at hospitals and less rich. Oh, wow. Okay.
Detox is hard
and fast.
And fast at a hospital unless you're rich. Yeah, detox sounded brutal. It really did. That was part of how I fooled myself into thinking I wasn't an alcoholic, because I was such a lightweight. It really did not take much for me to get to where I needed, where I was seeking to get when I'd start out. So, and I would maybe go a day or two between between going out to drink or getting something to drink. And that's another way that I could kind of fool myself and fudge and tell myself, oh yeah, see, I can leave it off anytime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Those were the little tricks that I played on myself in my mind.
Well, and I can see how that could, like how you could fool yourself into thinking that wasn't really a problem. If you're not, because that's not what I think of when I think of someone with an alcohol addiction,
Mhm.
and I mean, I'm learning that that's different, but, I mean, I can totally understand why,
Yeah.
you would be like, this isn't really a thing
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. And but once I got in those rooms and I started hearing stories that sounded a lot like mine, I'm like,
Mhm.
huh? What? Uh-oh.
Right, 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 right. Well, and that's kind of like me that last night, wait, what? Hold on. This is really that serious? I mean, that's a very big realization. Um, not sure I can stay. I have to
Read the room.
leave the room.
Okay. I like to do I like CK, I like to do recovery alcohol recovery reaction videos on Saturday, and I like to do cult recovery video reaction. If any of those are for you, that's just
We can't hear you. You're
Can you hear me now?
Now I can.
Okay. Okay, that's kind of a rule of thumb that it doesn't always pan out the way, but as a rule of thumb, I'd like to do a reaction video to, somebody's sobriety and recovery story. And on Sunday, I like to do somebody's story from cult recovery. So if any of that's just a little too close to home, or then I wanted you to maybe know that that's kind of what I tend to do on Saturday and Sunday. Kind of change it up
Yeah.
a little from the week.
Right. Zelda, she asked a question, Christy, how did you know you were ready to address your disorder? When I divorced my ex, my dad had colon cancer, and he was bad enough off that my brother and I moved back home to help take care of him. Um, I had my disorder all through that. After my dad passed away. Now I had gained a little bit of weight back. So, I wasn't still at the 89 pounds. When I moved back home, I felt a little more safe. And, I was a little more comfortable to eat. So I think by that point, I was probably up to about 100 pounds. So I wasn't as, bad as it was, because I knew that my dad could not handle seeing me that way. That would be very detrimental to him. And we were trying to care for my dad, who honestly was dying.
Yeah.
And I needed, like, my family just kind of needed everybody to be as healthy as we could be. And so nobody set me down and said, look, you've got to gain weight to get through this. It was just kind of, one of those things. After my dad passed, was when I got off all of the medication that I did not need for conditions I did not have. And at that point, I just really took a long, hard look at my life, because my dad had just died. I had just gotten divorced. I had, the last 3.5 years had been really bad. And I thought, if I'm going to fix all of this, I'm just going to fix it all. Because to me, I'm kind of, as you've seen yesterday, I'm kind of an all or nothing person. So when I'm like, okay, we're going to do it, like, we're going down that road, we're doing all of it along the way. And, if it's going to hurt, it's going to hurt. And you might as well just make it hurt. And so my therapist, when I went in, I was like, we've got to figure it all out. And amazingly, when I got that really good therapist that helped me, she's, I knew I had the eating disorder, and I was just like, I now's the time to fix it. Because for me, it was like that period of time where everything had ended. My marriage had ended, being medicated unnecessarily had ended. My, my dad's life had ended. And so that gave open to new beginnings. And I was also in a very safe place. I give a lot of credit to my mom and my brother, because they just let me, like, I had to, when I went into when I went into treatment, I had to sign over medical power of attorney and power of attorney to someone because of the medications I was coming off of, and because I was like really on that verge of unaliving myself at different times and the things that I was saying. So I gave it all to my brother, and it they allowed a place for me to heal where I knew that I could go through what I needed to go through, and that I was not going to lose my family over it. Like my mom wasn't going to quit being my mom, and my brother wasn't
Yeah.
going to quit being my brother. So I just went through it. But it really was after my dad died, after everything had ended. And it was like, okay, well, that whole part of it is done. So how do I go forward? And it really was just walking into the therapist saying, these are all of my issues that I know of.
Yeah.
I've paid tens of thousands of dollars to other people, and no one has helped me. And like, you're it.
Wow.
Good luck. Here you go. And so that's what it was. And I mean, that part of it was really it was tough. It was a tough part, because I had gained some of the weight back. So I mean, I was healthy in that way, but I had to get my mind healthy, and I had to work through losing my dad. I had to work through my 30-year eating disorder. I had to work through all of that, being divorced. So it was a lot. So I hope that answered your question. No, it wasn't inpatient.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't. No.
Okay.
I
I was curious about that too.
Yeah, no, it wasn't inpatient. My mom is an RN, and she has been for lots of years. So I mean, I guess it was inpatient in the sense that my mom was there and knew what was going on. But I went to counseling. I went to my therapist about 3 times a week because there was just so much that I had to deal with. But no, it was at my house. But there were times, and I didn't know this, that you could, because my brother and I had talked about it, after the situation, and he's like, you were a lot closer to getting committed than you probably thought you were. He's like, there were times
Wow.
that he's like, there were times that if you would have said one more thing, we would have committed you. And my brain was so off at that point. Like there was one point where I was telling my mom I wanted to see my dad, and my mom's like, well, you can't you can't go see your dad. And I'm like, why not? And she's like, well, what do you mean? Like, you can't see your dad. And you got to remember, I was like 36, 37, 38, somewhere around in there. And I'm like, where is he? And she goes, he's in heaven. And I'm like, well, I want to go there. Like, and to me, I just thought that like heaven was the next town over. Like, my mind was so muddled that I didn't understand what I was actually saying. And
Wow.
it really freaked my mom out, and my mom called my brother, and my brother came over, and I think my brother was scared, because when my brother gets scared, he gets a little intense. But he told me, he's like, there were about 3 times that you really were much closer than you thought. But
Wow.
fortunately, I was able to get through it. But I mean, it was a lot too. I mean, I was watched pretty closely, I mean, I wasn't under lock and key, but
I'm glad that you were not alone going through that.
oh gosh, if I would have been alone, I really don't know how that would have gone, honestly. So I'm
Yeah.
really thankful that I was at home.
Yeah.
And
That makes sense, Cosmic. That makes
yeah,
so much sense. Yeah.
yeah.
Lack of sleep,
The
lack of nutrition, it does terrible things to the brain, to the mind, and the
mhm.
yeah.
Oh yeah, like I just had, and I look, and my mom, she doesn't talk about it, like that period in my life, because I mean, that's got to be really raw to go through. I mean, you just lost my parents, my mom was 18 when she got married, and
Wow.
she had me at 19. And she, my dad was the only man my mom was ever with, and they were married until the day that my dad died. And so that, that had to have been really hard. And then to see your daughter go through this, like, it couldn't have possibly have been easy. And she won't talk about it.
Really?
She no, not really. Like, it's pretty hard for her,
Wow.
and I think
Ooh.
just because,
That would be a very scary thing to watch your daughter go through.
oh, and my freakouts were, oh, good, Tammy. You want to talk about some, I used to, like, my self-soothing was like rubbing my arms. That would be my thing. Like, that's how I would start. I would start with this arm, and I would just rub this arm. And you could tell how bad it was, because when it was really, really bad, I was rubbing both arms, and I was just rocking back and forth, like, really fast, and like humming to myself. And I never knew I did any of that. Like, I didn't realize how bad that was. Like how bad I was. Like, there was one point, my oldest daughter, she will not tell me what it was. I have apologized for it as much as I could, but I apologized to her one time. I said, if I ever in this time did anything that scared you, I'm so sorry. And if you ever want to talk about it, please tell me, and we'll talk about it. And she goes, there is this one time that you really scared me. And she said, but I don't want to talk about it. And this is how bad it got. Like, I was to the point that, you got to remember, like, my dad was at this point, he had cancer. He was stage 4 colon cancer. So he was very sick. He was still able at this point to get up and walk around and everything. I was so messed up. I tried to fist fight my dad. Like, I tried to throw down with my dad. And my dad was like, no, and yeah, Tammy, I apologize to my kids too, but my mom just, like, she just won't talk about it, because I was just so, I don't know what had happened. Like, I don't know if at the point that my dad had passed, and I was getting off the medications, and I was going through everything, my body and my brain just didn't know what to do. So it just kind of, instead of shattering and breaking, it just went into protective mode and just shut me down.
Okay.
There are things I don't remember. There's time my kids will ask me, do you remember this or do you remember that? And I don't remember it.
Wow.
At all. There's memories I just don't have.
Wow.
And but it was like, I think going through, it was really, looking back, it was easy to slip into all of that, because it just kind of happened. Like, I just slowly started eating less and less and less, and then I was at the point where I couldn't eat, even if I wanted to. I couldn't eat because my stomach wasn't used to food, and I would get sick, and it was really, like, it was a whole thing. And so getting myself out of that was a lot harder than getting into it. Like, I had to ease myself back into eating. I had to ease myself off of the medicine. I had to learn how to manage the emotions. And it was a lot.
I understand that.
Yes, it's a thing. And it's so easy. I don't think it takes long for your body to really get to the point where, like, this is kind of a random example. I was vegetarian for a long time. When I started running, I was training for a race. I had to retrain my body to eat meat again, because my body just didn't, process it. And it was the same thing with food. And, I see a lot in my oldest daughter of me. When she gets really stressed, she doesn't eat. She's really skinny. She, I think she's kind of really close to that cusp. And she calls me a lot. And she actually called me, she called me day before yesterday. Oh, I forgot about this. Day before yesterday. And she's like, I think I need to go to the hospital. And I said, what's wrong? And she's like, my iron's really low. And my first question was, are you eating? And she's like, I eat once a day, but it's not, maybe the healthiest. And I'm like, are the kids eating? Because when you don't get hungry, sometimes you forget other people get hungry. And she's like, yeah, she's like, the kids eat. And she's like, but I don't want to end up in a bad way. What do I do? And I told her, I said, go to the Kroger, get prenatal vitamins, because those have all of the nutrition and not nutrition, but like vitamins that your body would need. And she got some iron pills. I told her to get some Ensure, and start drinking that. And I'm like, just drink that 3-4 times a day, drink all of it you can. And then I told her, I said, have your husband bring home like some real big fat, cheeseburgers and fries or something. I'm like, not like a Wendy's thing, but like something like that sounds good to you. And so they all had takeout that night, and she said she ate. And but today she called. She actually called earlier today, and she said she's feeling better. She's been
That's
taking the
great.
prenatal vitamins, taking the iron.
Woo.
She did kind of start eating again. She's gone through a couple cases of the Ensure. And so I do kind of see it in her. So I can sort of understand like maybe where my mom was. But yeah, my mom doesn't talk about that period at all. The only thing she says is, you really scared me. And that's all she says. And it's you don't want to scare your mom.
No, you don't want to scare anybody that
Like, I don't want to scare my mom.
no.
She's a good mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I'm
yeah,
the same. Now that my kids are independent, I just forget, and that's
Yeah.
that's purely the only reason I get into this cycle.
Mhm.
And it's I just forget, and then the longer I forget, the harder it gets.
Yes.
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 And then I'm not doing this for any stimming reason. It's just that I fell over from a super hug.
Oh.
And I've got a sprain. So yeah, a bit of a bruised thumb and a bit of a bruised wrist. So
Uh-oh.
I iced it up and I bandaged it, but the bandage got a bit tight. So I was like, oh God, got to unwrap it really quick. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Ouch.
So yeah, and I've got to get. I'm getting ready for a festival today, so I'm going to be walking around going, "Oh, don't touch me! Don't touch me! Don't touch me! Don't touch me!" So, but we're leaving later in the day because it's going to be like 35 degrees, so too hot. So yeah. So, but CK asked me about detox. I'm not sure if she's still here in Australia. What they do is you got 5 days, depending on what you're detoxing from, but from alcohol. So you get a blood test, generally on the second day, because the first day you've got to blow clear. Well, I had to. Apparently, other people
What does
didn't.
that mean, blow clear?
You got to blow 0 in the.
Oh, okay. When you
breathalyzer.
Gotcha.
So generally you have to stop drinking at 9 o'clock at night. So that's what I did, and I went to sleep. And so I went to hospital. I got there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I waited for like, I don't know, about half an hour. Got there, they give you a Valium, and I don't know, I got in pretty much straight away because I'm an overachiever, so I blew clear. There was someone who got there, and she had drunk a bottle of vodka in the morning, and she was having seizures and all that sort of stuff, and that's one of the reasons why she was actually there. Because like she got in straight away. I had to wait like 5 weeks, which was a bit of a like, oh God, I just want to get it done now.
Yeah.
So I just reduced down to like I have a cup, which I think I've told you about. Like I've measured out 100 mils of So and so I just reduced and I counted down so that I was down to like I think 5 standard drinks a day. Which is compared to what I was drinking.
Right.
So yeah, and so I blew clear, top marks. And yeah, so and then they start you off with like 6 Valium a day, which is
Woo.
yeah. My doctor started me off on like 10, but
Woo.
yeah, and then you get like 9 shots a day of thiamine, which is B1, which is like I call a punch in the arm. So I was like, okay, nurse, ready for my punch in the arm because it hurts. It's like hurts like more than like if you thought the COVID shot hurt, this is like 10 times worse than any COVID shot. It was like I'd walk away and I was like, oh, like I think my wrist hurts. This oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. You know, but it's worth it because the thiamine is really important for your brain because alcohol drains thiamine from your body. Yeah, so you need to replace it. Like if you're drinking, you need thiamine. So I take multivitamins and all that sort of stuff all the time as if I can, because I have a bit of an issue with nausea and all that sort of stuff at the moment because of my new meds and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so and then they give you 6 and then 5 and then 4 and 3 and then 2 and then 1 and then out the door you go.
Out the door you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but the door is open, and if you leave, you can't come back in.
Okay.
So I have a question. Why do you have to be substance free for 24 hours before they'll take you into detox?
Well, apparently that's what I was told, but that's not what
it doesn't
that's
really
what I was
make a
told.
lot of sense. I mean, unless there is a medical danger with the detox process in doing it in your system, I don't know.
It's just easier, I think, on your system when you start. Like you don't, so that when you start getting the Valium, which is what they give everyone.
Oh, okay. That way there's not a potential. Okay. For like
I don't actually know because there are people there that were like super, in Australia we say munted, which I don't know if is particularly politically correct, but there are people there who are really high because there's people there on all sorts of different drugs because it's alcohol. Right. It's a hospital alcohol drugs detox service, so we call it HADS. And so there's all sorts of things. So I was there for alcohol. So you're there for 5 to 7 days. I've been there twice. So I got out in 5 days because I did it right. I reduced and then got out in 5 days. Sometimes it takes 7, but I always got out in 5. But there are people there who are there for methamphetamine or I don't know, all the other like heroin. There's a whole range of different drugs. So people that are there for different ranges of.
That is, how long ago was that, CK?
See, and I see what Mish is saying. I was turned away at rehab once because you had to be clean for 48 hours. When an addict is ready, it only lasts a little while before we can no longer stand it. Years later, I finally got clean.
Yeah.
So see, and that's why my question was
troubling.
Like, if somebody comes in and says, "I'm ready," like now I do. It does make sense.
Well, see, this is detox, not rehab.
Right. But
right. And
still, I mean, you're in danger after 48 hours. How do you get clean? Oh my God. That's troubling. I'm sorry, but that's troubling.
Well, see, while in detox, you're expected to find rehab. But because rehab costs, if you're on like a disability pension, which I am, it costs 85% of your income, and that would, I'd lose my house and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, they take 85% of your income, which is like, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Wow. So I'd lose my house and all that sort of stuff, and I lasted pretty well until certain.
Do you feel like you do
24/7.
better in your own space though, or would?
Oh, absolutely. I can't handle, and also like I got information about the rehabs, and in rehab you can actually get drugs. So
10 years ago. Well, I certainly hope that that they've figured some things out since then. That's not that long ago. That's barbaric.
Mm-mm. I mean, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
that
so
just
but
isn't.
yeah, but I would do better in my own setting, and I've got such a good support system that I don't need to go to rehab anyway. And I did like the first time I did something like 40 something days, and then I did 28,
Mhm.
and then yeah.
Where's the elf sitting on the present?
Sorry,
Where's the elf sitting on the present going?
not sure. Just 1 second, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, you go. I'll just be back in a second.
Okay.
Okay. Wow,
Yeah.
Nisha.
Nightmare. You know, it should not be a nightmare. It should not.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
That is
Okay. Wow, CK. Well, you're here. Thank
6
goodness.
months. Yes.
Whatever it takes. You know, it takes what it takes. Little voices. Oh, yeah. Miss that. Miss those. Yeah.
It was also 20 years ago, so hopefully things
Okay.
have changed since then.
Yeah.
I would hope
I would hope so, because that's barbaric. That is,
Yeah.
I hope they know what cruel and unusual punishment they were dishing out.
Okay, it's all good now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. She just woke up, so she's like dazed and
Aw.
confused.
Nobody should be punished for being sick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well, it is a dis-ease, a disease,
Yep.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's genetic, which I think mine might be, because it goes back a long time. And it's on both sides of my family. And my mum's like, I know I'm an alcoholic. She said it yesterday. And I'm like, oh, Mum.
Yeah. Bless her.
Yeah, I know. Bless her heart. No, I love my mum. She's fine.
Yeah, we
Right.
Mom.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
As long
I
as she's
know
come to
there's
terms with it.
I mean, there is that. There is that. Wow.
And she's a really happy one now. She's not aggressive or nasty anymore. So that's what she used to be, and so I'll take that.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Yeah, every person that reaches that level of addiction is a sad story. Even if you feel like you're enjoying yourself, you're destroying yourself. And eventually it's gonna catch up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I keep saying, please get liver function tests all the time, please.
Yeah.
Because she's only 60.
Yeah.
60.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I was talking to my daughter when I was talking to my daughter this afternoon. I told her, I said, please make sure you're drinking lots of water if you're, taking all of that, all of those vitamins. But I told her, I said, what I want you to understand too is that, and I just used myself as an example. I said, your liver can regenerate itself, but your kidneys don't. Your heart doesn't. You know, all of these things don't. And I said, you know, what I'm struggling with now is kidney issues and heart issues. And, you know, I'm only 47. And I said, so making sure that you're taking care of yourself now, you'll thank yourself later.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I said, you know, please, they said, I don't care what you know, like, cause they have those little water additives. She doesn't like to drink water.
Just plain water.
And yeah, I told her, I said, add anything, you know, add lemon, cucumber, mint, strawberries, you know, whatever. But I said, you know, please make sure you're drinking plenty of water.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's my one redeeming factor is I love water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I told her, I said, you know, I said, when you're young, like you are, it's really easy. Your body's pretty resilient, but and you can abuse it for a long time, and you don't feel it until you get older.
Apparently not.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It was
Definitely.
oh yes, you've got your festival tomorrow, Cussing,
Yeah,
don't
we
you?
wanna
No,
see
today.
pictures.
It's today.
Oh, today.
Oh,
Okay.
it's today.
We want pictures.
Are
We
you
want pictures. We want
Yes.
Oh, I'll be taking pictures, yeah. And it's so hot. I've got my hat and my cloak and a
There
whole
you
range of
go.
clothes.
That's-
I don't even know what to wear.
the key words there, Tammy C. Drink water. Love, you know,
Yes.
that's the main
Yes.
thing.
You know,
Yeah.
well, and that's what I told Dali. I said, I don't care if it's tea or whatever, like just, you know, something that's easy on your kidneys. Like, I'm like, don't drink lots of soda. That's probably not the best idea. But,
Yeah, I mean, it's
and
better than the other thing.
right.
She it
I
doesn't
like-
sound like she has that problem.
I like
No.
like homemade lemonade.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I've given her all kinds of like I call them water recipes, but you know, different things that I put in water to make them taste good and all like that. And she's like, yeah, okay, you know. But yeah, and you know, here's the funny thing is she knows it. She's like, I know I should drink more water. But I think today me telling her, I'm like, look, please, this is what you're going to end up with. Diet Coke. My mom drinks Diet Dr. Pepper. I don't drink soda.
Yeah, I rarely. If I drink anything soda-esque, it's ginger ale, and I like that Reed.
Yeah.
I try to stay away from the high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
I like
yeah.
Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, but I don't drink it very much. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my mom drinks like 3 Diet Cokes a day. Like she, you know, I tease her about it, but yeah. Aspartame.
Yeah. If it's either high fructose corn syrup for the sugared kind and aspartame for the other. And every time I've ever gotten aspartame in my body, I just feel something feels off, you know?
It gives me migraines.
Ooh, cranberry ginger ale.
That stuff is amazing. It's really
I'm
good.
gonna have to try
I
that.
don't like ginger. I don't like ginger at all.
Ginger?
Except for like ginger nut cookies. I used to give them to my kids instead of rusks because they're so hard, like the kiwi version.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd like give them to my kids and like mung 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 on them when they're like teething.
No.
Yes.
Because they're so hard. So they're like solid rock.
Like they're gonna have to pry it out of my clutched hands.
So, I know that
everyone to give up coffee. No.
I know that everybody makes so much fun of me, but I was drinking a lot of coffee and I actually switched to mushroom coffee. Now it does not taste like mushrooms. It tastes better than any of the other coffee I've had. But the reason I switched to it was because it helps with like brain fog and digestion, and like there's so many benefits to it because of all the different mushrooms in it. It does not taste mushroomy. And now when I go back and I try to drink regular coffee, I'm like, no. Everybody gives me so much grief. Like my friends, they're like, look, if the end of the world ever comes, you are absolutely unequivocally not allowed to buy the food because, you know, everything is like organic and healthy. And they're like, we don't want the vegan, like, you know, beans and mushroom coffee. They're like, we're getting Folgers. You know,
go out there and get the fun guy. You're the fun guy getting the fun guy.
There you go. Hey, that's what I should say. I feel like, but I'm the fun guy. That's really good. That's really. But they did. But they did. They did. They gave me. I should. They gave me so much grief. They're like, you're not allowed, you know, to like. So now when I go grocery shopping, I send them pictures of what's in my cart, you know, and God, no.
Why?
You know.
So they can torment you?
I mean, you know, I do kind of set myself up for it, but it's
hey, you know,
just kind of.
Just
well, I
pull it in because then they can't bully you.
All right. Well, and I found these, and okay, so go ahead, laugh at me.
Can I use a Scientology word?
Yeah.
Huh?
Pull it in.
Woman, yes. Well, you know, here's the funny thing. I found these cookies that are like they're vegan, gluten-free, like nut-free. I mean, they are really good though, and everybody is like,
are they flavor-free?
They taste really good, and everybody's like, Christy, buy the cookies. And I'm like, but I bought the cookies. And my mom, literally, she was making fun of me. She goes, Christy, no one's going to come visit you if all you're going to feed them is this weird food that you eat. It's just like, you're not going to have any friends.
That is true. That is true, Awakened. When you are homeless, you are already letting yourself down. It's easy to feel less than human, and looks of others adds to it.
Mm-hmm.
When people do give, it's hard because they pat themselves on the back. Yeah.
Yes.
I've never
Instead of
patted
looking-
myself on the back.
Looking at the person as a person,
Yeah.
you know, and every person needs to eat,
Yes.
needs to be able to get warm, you know, needs to be able to stay hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know why that's so hard to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Like, okay, if you couldn't eat, if you couldn't go home and take your shoes off and go to bed, sit on your, I mean, just saying. It's easy to do when you've been there. I mean, you know.
Well, I've slept on my sister's couch for 2 weeks, and that was bad enough, you know. And actually, my dog Tequila, her mum was pregnant with her at the time, so I got to feel her move, and her mum's on me. So, but it was also like, you know, I was just like, this feels so, because I didn't have a house that was actually like approved yet. I had all these applications out. This is before the housing crisis that we have in Australia here at the moment, because everybody came home. So we've got this massive housing crisis. I don't know if you've got one over there in America where no one can find houses, like rentals.
Well, we kind of do, because rentals are really, really expensive over here. Like I know one of my friends who lives in Colorado, her rent is like $1,900 a month for an apartment.
Ooh.
Well, mine's $490 a week. I don't know what that translates to. I don't math.
Almost $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it, like $1,950 a month or something like that?
Yeah. So, and then I've got electricity, and I don't pay water because, you know, so, but but it's so high, you know, like everything's like gone up. is so high, and Australia is one of the most expensive places to live in the world.
Wow. Is it because do you have to have a lot of exports to make society work, or do you produce enough of your own?
I'm not actually sure why. I just think it's we have a lot of exports, but we have a lot of imports as well, and it's so far to we're like a tiny we're like the biggest the biggest island, but a tiny continent, far to get out here. And our governments, I won't even get into the whole thing, but it's just like it's just a high cost of living out here, because I don't know. I don't even know why. I stopped watching the news a while ago because I was very political, and now I'm like,
yeah.
You know what, Misha? I just want to say that I am sorry that anybody made you to feel less than.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I mean,
and it's ridiculous. My mom, this was, when I came back from living in Washington State and being homeless, I would just, at first my mom wouldn't give money to anybody. She's like, well, I don't know what they're going to go use it for. And I mean, I was giving money to everybody. I didn't care. It was like $5, a couple dollars, whatever I had. And my mom asked me, she's like, what if they, use it for something that you don't approve of? And I'm like, what if they use it for food? And, I mean, I don't really care what they use it for. I know what that's like. I mean, I've never stood on a corner with a sign, but I know what it's like to not know where your next meal is coming from. And I know what it's like to have that scarcity around you. And it is really horrible because nobody is less than anybody else. And, what is it they teach you in the military? Like, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So, if as a society, our weakest link is the person who is on the street corner for whatever reason they're there. That person could be ex-military who just whose mind broke. It could be anybody. It doesn't matter to me why they're there. What matters to me is that they are there. And how can I help that person feel a little bit better in that moment?
Better about
not for me.
Some kind of warmth, like she said, looking at them with a true smile, looking at them like a human being, because there were times I did not feel like a human being.
No. And and Tammy, I seen a comment a while back. You said you had hoped that somebody was doing something nice for your son somewhere. You know what? The people that you see, that is someone's son. It is someone's daughter. That is someone's child. That could be someone's parent. Like, and for me, it's just not okay that any child is not taken care of. And and Tammy, you're right. And what I've come to learn from the lifeboat and here is that withdrawals and sickness is a very real thing. And you know what? If you are that far into something and you need something so that you're not over in the corner getting sick, you know what? I don't know what my $5 is going to buy you, but here, please take it. Just take it. And I always try. And I think, yesterday, Cosmic, you said, being homeless changes your brain. And I think it does, because you know that pain. And I think even people who never have been can see it. But it's I just,
Yeah. And and I also think those videos that people do on YouTube where they're buying food for people who are homeless, I found them very condescending because who knows what those people,
I mean,
fine, they might think they're doing good thing, but who knows what those people who are homeless need. They might have food food allergies, or they might, just give them money.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Christina, she was out there for about 9 years.
Wow.
And she asked me for money twice.
And she what?
Asked me for money twice.
Oh, wow. Oh.
The best way of looking at the giving on money, because people are worried that they're enabling them. When we give, we should give in a way that we don't think of what happens after the fact, because we're giving.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I know not everybody, so I try not to do it too much, but the Bible says, "Don't let your left hand know what your right hand's doing." When you're giving, don't do it for anything to get people to know or to notice, because whatever reward you're going to get in heaven for that, if you do that on this earth and get gratification for it because you're talking about it, then you're not getting anything except for that right there. You do it in
That's
heart.
what I mean about the
I've
YouTube
got
videos.
Even though
Look what I'm
I've
doing.
got one that I've got to talk about. When I was in downtown San Diego and I was still at the homeless shelter. I stayed there for like 7 months, something like that. And by this time I had a job, and so I was getting a little bit of money coming in. And so I saw this guy, inside the dumpster doing the dumpster dive thing. And he wasn't asking for money. He wasn't panhandling. He was just minding his own business. And I went up to him and I gave him $5 cash. Just, and just the exchange between us was just priceless. He goes, "I'm getting a cup of coffee." I'm like, right on.
It's such a, we don't even realize we spend money on such
priceless. I will never, ever, ever forget that.
And how beautiful a thing is that the communication that you guys had in just that short amount of time.
I mean, I feel like it almost changed my life. You know what I mean?
It probably did, babe. It probably did. And that's the thing. I'm big on ripples and stuff. And just a 5-minute conversation with one person can mean more than a lifetime of conversations with other people sometimes.
Yeah.
Depending on the quality of and what,
yeah,
how in your heart it is.
Yeah. I used to do that a lot, because I was keenly aware that I was one step away from where they were.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some amazing human exchanges, just allowing somebody in my heart space just for however long. Yeah. And then me. That is just amazing, that they're in that situation and they'll allow you in their heart space.
Yeah.
That's,
one of the things about me going through what I did. And, Bradley and I, we went through it together for a little while. And, we were in a motel at one time. There wasn't a bathroom door. You want to talk about knowing somebody literally from the inside out. We got to know each other.
Right on.
And I was sitting there one day and I was in the restroom and he was doing, I call it the Ally McBeal dance. I don't know if anybody remembers that movie, that TV show or not, but there's that little baby that would come around every now and then across the screen. It was doing his little dance.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. He does that for me all the time.
Aww.
And for no reason, I'll see him out like my peripheral and I'll watch him. He's doing it. He's just doing it to get my reaction, just to make me smile. For no reason other than just out of the blue to do it, Right. And he was doing that, and I remember it was really, really rough, and I remember laughing and just kind of looking down and saying, life is good.
Yeah.
It was not good in so many ways, and if anybody really were living it, yeah, it's the little moments.
Yeah.
It
is. They can be life defining. They really can, those little moments.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you can't be happy in that moment, then you definitely can't be happy whenever you've got things,
Yeah.
So you have to be able to look for the miracles or you're never going to see one.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and a little redeeming story from yesterday, because I told y'all what I said to Michael, when he said we had to be homeless. Once I did kind of figure out how to navigate all of that and what it looked like and what it meant, there was a point where Michael told me, he's like, I could tell you that we would have to live in a refrigerator box underneath a bridge and you would say, "Can I paint it pink?" And and I was like, yes, I would totally say that. But I think too, it's those things because you really learn how the other person reacts, and you learn and you learn that, and it is amazing. And I do think that in the worst, what I found to be true for myself, in the worst of times, there's always some little silver thread or a ray of sunshine that is going to come your way at some point, like
That's
whether it's
right.
a down
That's
scratch
right.
ticket
That's
on the
right.
ground, or somebody giving you $5 and you get a cup of coffee, or I mean, and
what a
even
human thing to do,
That's the thing, the humanity of things.
Yeah.
That's the reason. I mean, don't get me wrong, because I'm not like trying to badmouth the people that were trying to help, because there were genuinely people that, I mean, there's so many people out there that want to do, and they just don't know what to do or how.
That's true. That's right. They don't know. They don't know.
The people that just come in there and they do that, and you're like, they look at you like, aren't you going to say thank you for this half-open bag of Kleenex that we're giving you, and we went to look and feel so good? That's what I was talking about. It's just, it's hurtful, because it's like, I appreciate everything.
Yeah.
So much more than people even realize I do. But whenever it's to somebody's benefit, that is so harmful to somebody that's already struggling and feeling it.
That's
so just, if people were to think about their reasonings and doing it, it's kind of like whenever you do donations every year and you do the bag that fills with the cans of food. How many people really, truly, and I'll be honest with myself on this too, how many of us really, truly, when we fill that bag full of cans, put the good stuff in there? It's always like the black beans and the things that we just don't really think that we're ever going to eat. Honestly, for me anyways, I've done it, and it's like that. And that's understandable. I'm sounding really horrible right now, and I'm not meaning to.
No, you're not.
You're not.
There were times that I had to go to a food bank to get food, and the stuff that was there was like expired or about to expire. You would get macaroni and cheese with like the powdered macaroni and cheese, but you wouldn't get any milk or butter to make it with.
Right.
Make it with.
And so, and I really think that I do think that like there are good people out there who just don't know how to help because they've never seen it. There are few things in life I believe everybody should have to do. I believe everybody should have to work retail at Christmas at least one year in their life. Everybody should have to work at like Wendy's or McDonald's as an adult. I don't mean as a 16-year-old and this is your first job. I mean, I'm talking as an adult. You should have to work fast food. And I believe that everybody should have to go to a homeless shelter or a food bank or somewhere like that, like, and just see, just see what's there. Like one week.
They have to be willing to have the eyes to see.
Right, because if you're not hungry and haven't been hungry for a week, it's going to look like that's good food. You're good there,
Yeah.
And so it's not that I'm trying to, down what's there. I'm just trying to say the perception.
No. Right.
It's I wouldn't have known it back in the day because I was a little spoiled, rotten brat, and I think a lot of the reasons why I've had my stories because I needed to see things that I would never have seen otherwise.
Yeah.
Maybe it just,
I mean,
it just hurts. It hurts to hear people talk about, like the people that are on the stuff right now that, makes them bend over and sleep and not being able to handle themselves, and it's hurtful because they don't want to be like that.
No,
they can't.
Don't. Nobody
I remember
out in their life saying, gosh, I want to, I want to go 5 days between showers and not have a roof over my head and sleep in a cardboard box. Nobody says
what do you want to be when you grow up, little girl?
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's just, and whenever I was homeless, wasn't that much longer before Christina became homeless, but it was in Oklahoma with people that I know all in the towns, which was good and bad because, I had connections to where that if I needed to, I could do certain things, or just that. And you learn the different ins and outs. Like we have casinos all over the place. And so that was a major source of our water, bathrooms, things like that. In Louisiana, in Baton Rouge, in New Orleans, it's not as friendly an atmosphere for somebody that's not grown up there.
Yeah.
And
It
so
used
that
to
was
not be
really
that way, though. When I'd go in the 90s, it was not that way.
no, people still cared enough about people that they would help. I mean, you could get on a road, stick out your thumb, and you could get from one side of the country to the other and have a great time doing it. And all of our stories from that I think we heard our kids because we talked about it, and the kids who tried to do it, and she tried to be her mama, and it didn't it didn't count,
Yeah.
But that's just my biggest thing is just people don't realize how much ripples hurt or help.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's, I wanted to come on here and just kind of
I know. Yeah, right on.
it's coming up on a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, last time I talked to her was at Christmas Eve.
Oh.
And then I got the phone call the day after Christmas. And she was the good girl. She was the epitome of good girl.
Yeah.
She wasn't out there because she chose it or because she was
No.
anything other than just she had nothing and no one and was broken and betrayed by her family.
Yeah.
Her dad shot her up for the very first time.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And then he did other stuff. She just wanted to get to know her dad because she turned 18 and I didn't want him around when they were little.
Oh no.
And he did that. And I didn't know until just like this last year I found out. That's why she left and went to Louisiana. And so there's those kind of people out there that have nobody, have nothing, have nothing. And those are the ones that I think about every day when I think about somebody that's homeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something broke them to get them there. A lot of times. Probably more often than not.
And they can see what this stuff affects you like it does. They see that.
Yeah.
I highly suggest anybody to go to AML Films. I'll put a link. Excuse me. I'll put a link out here in just a second, and just watch some of the live interviews that they do. Because there's these babies, and they're not babies anymore, but they're babies, and they talk about wanting to quit, and they do the interviews because most of them, they want people to see that side of it, not for them, but to help some kid that's just thinking about it or that's going through it before they get to there. And that is the real deal. They are struggling and they are talking about their struggle. And if somebody really doesn't understand or know, go there. If you want to give up on somebody, do like Christy did and reach out and educate yourself.
Yeah.
There's so much that we can do.
That's right.
Just love and just love.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I didn't mean to come and mesh, but
I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we're talking about this. Are you kidding?
Yeah. Well, and it's there was you just see people differently, when you go through those kinds of things and you hear these kinds of stories. I know since meeting all of you, I look at things so much differently than I did before. I mean, from addictions to people that are struggling to, all of it. And it comes from a place of genuine understanding and love. And not that it didn't before, I had the love, I just didn't have the understanding, and now, that's one of the things is I don't understand how people can be so hateful.
Wish I could hug you right now. I wish that so much.
Yeah.
I still get hugs from you guys, even though we're virtual. I still feel them. You know what I learned yesterday?
What's that?
Let's change it up a bit. Did you know that if you don't have anybody around and you really feel like you could just really use a good hug, take a bath. The
Oh.
warm water surrounds your body, and it feels like heaven.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey,
Is that not awesome?
that
Yeah.
is
Just
very
feel
awesome.
yourself being loved by the universe, by everybody that you love and wish you could hug. You're there.
Wow. That
You
makes
know?
so much sense.
It does.
I was like, oh my gosh. As soon as I heard it, I thought that's perfect.
Yeah.
I used to take a shower in the morning and a bath at night every single day. I love it. So,
Right?
yeah, that was my mama time, and the girls knew, don't disturb mama. She's reading. And they still would, but it was a little bit more absurd,
No.
But
Good job.
yeah, I just thought that was kind of a cool thing to know.
That is
I can't
awesome.
wait to tell them. I'm going to share
That
that
is
with
an awesome thing. Hey, slow down.
them.
Mikey
And
is.
also,
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, whenever we do the breathing, the last few times,
Yeah.
I mentally envision all of us standing on a beach or somewhere.
Yeah.
And we're all either holding hands or hugging each other when we're doing the breathing. And it just helps because, it gives a little bit more of the connection. I know it sounds really kind of wonky, but
No,
I'm a wonky kind of gal, so.
I think that's beautiful. Hey, maybe I should incorporate that in. And
Yeah.
just,
I mean, it feels a lot better than just this cold office, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
sorry, y'all, it's hard for me to read comments whenever I'm talking because I can't.
This one is to you, Misha. I don't know if this helps. Your reach out was so early in this for me, and you have given me so much hope and your strength, though I know how hard it is to always feel. You have even helped me.
I love you.
Yeah.
You
And
sweet
then
woman, you belong here. It was just your parents brought you here,
Yeah.
and you, like I said earlier today, you've been a part of us that we were missing. We just didn't know it yet. You're beautiful, and we're so glad to have you.
There's a second part to that. It says, you have even helped me think of my mama that I haven't done in ages.
And it's such a beautiful picture, by the way. I was so happy to see that. It was beautiful. Look at me now. Thank you for that. You guys, the things that we do for each other that we'll never even tell each other, it's really beautiful.
I don't know why it is the way it is, but I'm so glad that it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Could you imagine, we were talking earlier today, and is it Stacia or Stasia?
Stasia.
Stasia. Okay. We were talking earlier today, and it's could you just imagine going through the things that we are going through and not have each other?
Yeah. You know what it would feel like? It would feel like that white knuckling you have to do if you're not in recovery. It does feel like that.
Yeah.
That to me, right? It just dawned on me. That is almost seems like the very definition of white knuckling.
Yeah.
Not having somebody,
and so many of us have felt that way for so long.
And help each other just with being honest. And and having an open heart.
The validation of I see you, and it's okay, I still love you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's amazing.
It is pretty good.
So I love you guys. I still haven't even got a picture yet. I've been wanting to lurk for the past 3 days, and I can't stop talking anytime to do it. So. I'm going to go ghost, and I'm going to be quiet, and I'm just going to get some stuff done. Yeah, right. And I'm telling myself when I'm typing, I'm stop typing.
Yeah. Well, it's just because you've got wisdom to add, that's
I don't know if
it's
wisdom, but it is life experience, and I think we all should share it. I think we all should share what little things that we have that makes us us. Because together is what really makes powerful.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love you guys. I'm going to get off here and do some art real quick.
Mikey.
I will probably stay listening though, but
right on.
Okay.
Right.
No,
okay.
that's good.
Well, I don't know. I feel like we've had a meeting. I mean,
yeah, I do too.
Anybody in the chat. If there's something on your mind, something on your heart, put a 2. If you feel like you've had a meeting, give us a 3.
I'm gonna put
'Cause I'm
him.
feeling like the breathing is the way to go right now.
Yes, yes. Oh, hold on. Come on, Mikey, come. Come on. Come on. Go. Go.
Yeah,
Mikey.
100% plant breathing. Yeah. Just being able to be seen and loved, not judged. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty simple. And it makes all the world of difference.
Well, should we go ahead and do some breathing and a meditation then? Because it looks like I'm seeing a lot of 3s.
Some 3s. Yeah, this is a good one.
It was. It was. We've had some good ones.
Yeah.
Days. So, okay, well, let's go ahead and do our breathing. So we'll do a little guided meditation. We'll do 3 of the box breathing, and then we'll go into the meditation from there. And when the meditation's over, I'll just tell you whenever y'all are ready to open your eyes. Okay. So go ahead and shake it out. Oh, come on. All right, close your eyes. And I want you to drop into your heart space by either placing your hands on your heart or just imagining yourself being there. Take a moment to just breathe in that loving energy. And we're going to go ahead and do our box breathing. So we're going to breathe in for a count of 4, hold, and release. And as you breathe in, I want you to bring in love and joy, peace and contentment. And as you exhale,
And that beach.
Oh, yes. And I want you to exhale anything that no longer serves you. Okay. Breathe in. Hold. Exhale. Breathe in. Hold. Exhale. Last one. Breathe in. Hold. Exhale. Now I want you to imagine yourself on a beautiful white sandy beach. I want you to feel the nice warm sand between your toes. Just the right temperature, not too hot, not too cold. And I want you to look off into the distance of the beautiful sunset with its oranges, blues, pinks, and yellows as the sun dips down behind the horizon and goes to bed in the ocean. Feel the wind blow in your hair. And as you look into the distance, I want you to see all of your friends and loved ones and everyone in this group. So we all turn to smile to you and wave. And as you mindfully make your way over to the group of us, I want you to think of the joy that you feel of being surrounded by your loved ones and your friends. And with each step that you place your foot down, I want you to imagine releasing anything that no longer serves you and anything that is heavy and burdensome on your heart right now. And it's going to take us 10 steps to get to the group of friends. So, step 1, release something that doesn't serve you. Step 2. Step 3. Step 4. Step 5. Step 6. Step 7. Step 8. Step 9. And step 10. And I want you to take a moment as you're breathing in the warm, salty air, surrounded by all the love and kindness and appreciation, to just take a moment and welcome all of that love and energy into your heart. And at the same time, release love, light, and energy to everybody that's in this group and everybody that's in your circle. And now we all move in together for one big group hug, telling everybody how thankful we are for each other and the amazing things that they bring to our lives. Feeling the friendship and warmth and kindness. Sit in that energy for just a moment. And now we all release and look around on the ground and find a beautiful rock. And in that rock, we take anything left over that no longer serves us and we focus it into that and throw that rock as far as you can into the sunset, into the ocean, releasing that which no longer serves you. And this time to end, we're going to grab each other's hands with smiles on our faces as we watch the sunset set deeper and deeper into the ocean with smiles on our faces, enjoying all of the love and compassion that we're feeling right now. And as you are ready, open your eyes. That was a good one. Thank you for that, Misha. That was beautiful.
I really like that one.
I did too.
Wasn't that nice?
Yeah.
That was
Even
nice.
though I can't visualize things, I was like, oh.
Huzzah!
Well, and Cosmic, I want to say have so much fun at your thing tonight.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know,
Can't wait to hear all about it.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, maybe we'll have to put that. I'll have to write that down before I forget it, and we'll keep that one in the meditation rotation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because I just make them up as I go along. Like that's not any. I'm just.
You're an
right.
expert.
Well, you guys have a good one.
You too. Love you
Yes.
guys.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Love you. Peace.
See. Thanks, you guys, for being part of this. It's never a meeting without you. And we'll see you next meeting. And I love you all. And peace. Peace, y'all.